7 exercises used by Tibetan monks to develop incredible strength and endurance that lasts until the age of 100. At 60 years old, most men have already lost a significant portion of the strength they once had. A study published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle points out that human beings lose between 3% and 8% of muscle mass per decade after the age of 30, and this rate accelerates drastically after 60. At 70, climbing a flight of stairs becomes a real challenge. This is the reality for millions, but not for everyone. In the monasteries of Tibet, monks reach the age of 90 carrying weight, climbing mountains, and maintaining a posture and vitality that would put men decades younger to shame. And the fact is that they have never set foot in a gym. They have never used sophisticated machines, never lifted barbells loaded with weight plates, and they take no supplements. None of that. That is why today you will see the 7 exercises used by these monks to develop strength and endurance that defy time, and that anyone can start practicing right now. After all, they were not born knowing how. Before we begin, please tell us through the comments your name and the city from which you are watching our content. We would love to know. Exercise number 1, table pose. There is a muscle group that aging attacks silently, without warning. The posterior chain, which includes the glutes, the hamstrings, and the muscles of the shoulder blades, is exactly what ensures you remain upright, erect, and functional after 60, 70, and even 90 years of age. Table pose works directly on this chain, and Tibetan monks have been using it for centuries to maintain the functional strength needed on long journeys on foot between monasteries built into the mountains. Think about it. Walking for hours at high altitudes, carrying your own weight, requires a strong and resilient posterior chain. It is no coincidence that these men reach old age with a posture that most people lose by 50. The movement itself is simple, but deceiving in appearance. Sit on the floor with your legs extended in front of you and your hands resting behind your body, with your fingers pointing toward your feet. From this position, press your hands and heels into the ground to lift your hips until your body forms a straight line from your knee to your shoulder. This is the moment you feel the glutes and hamstrings truly engage. But the secret is not in the upward phase. It is in the slow, controlled descent, taking full advantage of the eccentric phase of the movement, which represents a significant portion of the muscle stimulation potential. Regular practitioners report a considerable improvement in lower back stability and hip strength within just a few weeks of consistent practice. To begin, perform 3 repetitions with full focus on movement quality. Over time, progress to 5 and then to 8 repetitions, always maintaining control. If your wrists cause discomfort, a simple adaptation will help. Support your weight on closed fists instead of open palms. This reduces wrist extension and eliminates pain without compromising the exercise. A common mistake is letting the hips drop at the very start of the lift, losing alignment and transferring the effort to the lower back in an improper way. Keep your gaze toward the ceiling and consciously squeeze your glutes before raising your body. Another point worth noting, do not let your knees bend during the movement. Straight legs ensure that the hamstrings and glutes receive maximum stimulation, while bent knees redistribute the effort less efficiently. It is also worth mentioning that the gluteus maximus is the largest muscle in the human body, and keeping it active and strong has a direct impact on pelvic stabilization and the prevention of lower back pain that plagues so many people as they age. People with severe shoulder or wrist problems should consult a professional before starting, as the hand support requires stability in these joints. Exercise number 2, boat pose. A weak core is one of the main reasons why older people lose their balance, develop chronic lower back pain, and become unable to engage in any physical activity safely. And here is something few people connect. Tibetan monks practice boat pose not as a gym exercise, but as preparation for long meditation sessions. Did you know that maintaining an upright spine for hours requires a core just as strong as any sport demands? Indeed, a weak core gives way, the spine curves, and meditation, which should be an act of presence and concentration, becomes a struggle against the body itself. What monks understood centuries ago, modern science has confirmed. The core is not just aesthetic. It is the foundation of all functional human movement. To perform it, sit on the floor, bend your knees, and lean your torso slightly backward, keeping your spine straight and without rounding your shoulders forward. Lift your feet off the ground until your shins are parallel to the floor, forming a V shape with your body. Extend your arms forward at shoulder height, with your palms facing inward. This position deeply activates both the hip flexors and the stabilizing muscles of the spine simultaneously, something most conventional abdominal exercises fail to achieve. A mistake I see many people make is holding their breath to stay longer in the pose. This creates unnecessary tension in the neck and shoulders and reduces the actual activation of the core. Breathe continuously and in a controlled manner throughout the entire time you are in the position. Another common compensation is letting the chin drop toward the chest, shortening the neck. Keep your gaze slightly upward and your neck aligned with your spine. For beginners, keeping the knees bent already provides a considerable stimulus. As strength and endurance improve, gradually extend the legs to the point where you can keep your spine straight without compensation. This detail is fundamental. If your lower back begins to round, you have exceeded your current limit and are transferring tension to where it should not go. Always prefer a smaller range with quality over a full position with compensation. Start by holding the position for 20 seconds. Progress to 30 and then to 45 seconds as your core gains endurance. When 45 seconds feels comfortable, add an extra set instead of increasing the time indefinitely. 2 to 3 sets with 45-second rest intervals between them already constitute a very efficient stimulus. People with herniated discs or acute lower back pain should avoid this exercise until they receive medical clearance, as intense hip flexion can aggravate these conditions. Exercise number 3, cat-cow flow. The spine was not made to stay still. It was made to move, flex, extend, rotate. The problem is that modern life condemns us to an almost static position all day, sitting in the same posture for hours, and the spine gradually and silently loses mobility. Tibetan monks understand this in a way that goes beyond anatomy. In the Tibetan tradition, it is believed that a mobile and healthy spine is the channel through which the body's vital energy flows, and that is why this flow is practiced at dawn, every day, to awaken the body after sleep and prepare the mind and muscles for the day's practices. The movement combines 2 classic yoga positions into a continuous flow. Start from downward-facing dog, hips raised, forming an inverted V, with the heels seeking the ground and the head between the arms. From there, slide the body forward and downward, opening the chest and lifting the gaze until you reach upward-facing dog, with hips low, arms extended, and the spine in extension. The breath guides everything. Exhale as you move forward into cobra. Inhale as you return to dog. This rhythm transforms the exercise into something close to a meditation in motion. The beauty of this exercise lies in its ability to work thoracic mobility, shoulder strength, chest opening, and flexibility of the anterior chain all at the same time, without any equipment. I have observed that people who include this flow in their morning routine report a considerable reduction in muscle tension throughout the day, especially in the neck and lower back region. If there are limitations in the shoulders or wrists, reduce the range of motion or perform the flow with hands resting on an elevated surface, such as a table or a wall. This preserves the movement pattern without overloading the joints. People with cervical disc issues should take special care not to throw their head back abruptly during the cobra phase. Before we continue, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Having constant access to science-based information is what will help you progress with long-term health in the world of exercise. Exercise number 4, pistol squat. Let us be direct. The pistol squat is one of the most challenging exercises there is for unilateral leg strength and balance, and that is precisely why it appears on this list. In Tibetan monasteries, built on steep and rocky terrain at high altitudes that can reach more than 4,000 meters above sea level, monks do not have the option of using elevators or escalators. Every step on uneven ground requires one leg to support the body's weight while the other adjusts to the next foothold. This movement pattern, repeated over decades, is what develops the functional strength and proprioception that these men carry with them to the end of their lives. The movement consists of standing, extending one leg in front of the body, and squatting on the other, keeping the torso as upright as possible and the knee of the supporting leg aligned with the foot, without collapsing inward. It is an exercise that requires ankle mobility, knee stability, glute strength, and balance all at once. And do you know why this matters so much for those who are aging? Because falls are one of the leading causes of death and disability in people over 65 years of age. According to data from the World Health Organization, falls account for the second leading cause of accidental deaths worldwide. Having a leg capable of supporting itself with full control can literally save a life. In addition, the unilateral strength developed by this exercise directly improves proprioception, meaning the body's ability to know where it is in space, which is one of the most important factors in avoiding stumbles and imbalances in everyday life. To start, hold onto a wall, chair, or railing for support. This is not weakness, it is intelligence. Over time and with practice, gradually reduce your dependence on the support until you can perform the movement independently. Progress by increasing the number of repetitions, from 2 to 4 and then to 6 on each side, before trying to reduce your reliance on support. People with a history of knee injuries or with very limited ankle mobility should begin with the chair squat, a variation where you sit down and stand up from a chair using one leg before moving on to the full version. Exercise number 5, crocodile pose. Here comes something that goes against everything modern fitness culture preaches. Intentional rest is not laziness, it is strategy. Tibetan monks use crocodile pose between intense periods of meditation and physical practice, with the belief that conscious rest is as sacred as movement. And from a physiological standpoint, this view makes complete sense. It is during rest that the nervous system recovers, that heart rate normalizes, and that muscles receive the signal to reorganize themselves. The execution is simple and accessible to anyone, regardless of age or physical condition. Lie face down on the floor, cross your arms in front of your body, and rest your forehead on them. Your legs remain slightly apart and completely relaxed, without any intentional tension. Breathe deeply and slowly, feeling your belly press into the ground with each inhale and release with each exhale. This ventral pressure breathing pattern activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for the body's recovery and calm state. It is the opposite of stress. Ideally, use crocodile pose as rest between the exercises in this sequence or as the final pose, holding for 2 to 3 minutes. Regular practitioners describe a feeling of nervous system reset after a few minutes in this position, especially when combined with long, controlled breaths. There is something almost meditative about this exercise. By shifting attention away from physical effort and directing it entirely toward the breath, the body learns to differentiate tension from relaxation, which is a skill just as valuable as muscular strength itself. Over time, you carry this control outside the exercise sequence and into the rest of your day. There are no significant contraindications for this exercise, with the exception of pregnant women, who should avoid lying face down. For those who experience neck pain when resting the forehead, a rolled towel under the forehead solves the discomfort without compromising the pose. Exercise number 6, camel pose. If you spend hours of your day sitting, whether at work, in the car, or on the couch, camel pose was made to undo the damage accumulated by this. Prolonged flexion of the thoracic spine shortens the chest muscles, compresses the spinal discs, projects the shoulders forward, and over time, creates that exaggerated curvature in the upper back that we see in so many older people. Tibetan monks practice this chest opening daily, and the reason goes beyond the physical. In Tibetan Buddhism, an open heart is a symbol of compassion, and the physical gesture of expanding the chest is associated with inner expansion. In addition, they spend hours hunched over sacred texts, and the camel is the way to counterbalance exactly that posture. Fascinating how ancestral wisdom and modern science can arrive at the same place, is it not? To perform it, kneel with your shins resting on the floor and your hips directly above your knees. Place your hands on your lower back with your fingers pointing downward, creating support for the spine. From there, gently arch backward, opening your chest toward the ceiling and letting your head follow the movement naturally without forcing it. Hold the position for 5 deep breaths and return slowly to the starting position with control. The most common mistake is throwing the weight backward abruptly, without creating the gradual extension of the spine, which overloads exclusively the lower back, instead of distributing the movement throughout the thoracic spine. Think about lifting the chest before leaning the torso back. If your knees cause discomfort on the floor, place a cushion or folded towel under them. Start with 3 repetitions and progress to 5 as the mobility of your thoracic spine and chest increases. People with serious lower back problems or a history of spinal compression should avoid this exercise without professional guidance. Exercise number 7, Viparita Karani. And we arrive at the 7th exercise, perhaps the most underestimated on the entire list. Known in Sanskrit as Viparita Karani, or simply legs up the wall, this movement is practiced by Tibetan monks at the end of each day, after long walks at altitude and hours of intense spiritual practice. In the Tibetan tradition, this pose is seen as an inversion that reverses the flow of vital energy through the body, restoring the reserves spent during the day. Science, on the other hand, explains this somewhat differently, but arrives at equally impressive conclusions. When you elevate your legs above the level of the heart, venous return is facilitated by gravity. The blood that has accumulated in the legs throughout the day, especially in those who spend a lot of time standing or sitting, flows back to the central circulation with much less effort. This reduces swelling in the ankles and calves, relieves the feeling of heavy legs, and decreases the workload on the heart. For older people, who often report circulation problems in the lower limbs, this effect can be transformative. To perform it, lie on your back close to a wall, right next to it, and raise your legs resting them against the surface, forming a 90-degree angle with your body. Your arms remain relaxed along your torso, or with your hands resting on your abdomen. Hold for 5 to 15 minutes, breathing deeply and slowly. If you feel tingling in your legs before the time is up, slightly bend your knees or move your hips a little away from the wall to reduce the intensity of the pose. Regular practitioners report consistent improvement in sleep quality when the pose is performed at night, in addition to a reduction in overall fatigue. A study reviewed by the American Heart Association suggests that gentle inversion practices such as this one may contribute to the regulation of blood pressure at rest over time. People with glaucoma, uncontrolled high blood pressure, or a history of deep vein thrombosis should consult a doctor before adopting any inverted pose in their routine. These 7 exercises have something in common that goes beyond their Tibetan origin. They do not require a gym, they do not require equipment, and they do not require any special prior physical condition. They require only regularity and intention. The monks who reach 90 years of age with strength and vitality did not get there by accident. They got there because they practiced every day for decades, and what begins with 3 repetitions of table pose can, with time and consistency, transform into a body that ages in a functional, dignified, and strong way. You do not need to become a Tibetan monk to benefit from what they know. You just need to begin. If you enjoyed this and want to also discover the best exercises you can do for each muscle group after 50 years of age, we have left a video appearing on screen right now showing each one of them in more detail. Be sure to check it out. Thank you for watching until the end, and may God bless you, my friend.